Hello, I'm Linda, and this is No Frills ASMR Car Talk edition. So recently in the community page, and if you're a subscriber, then I think you might see the community post. I put a picture of some of the, I don't know what you call them, like warning lights that came on in my car because it's old. And a commenter said that, that would have caused her anxiety and she would have had to take it to a shop right away. Which reminds me of one of my sons. He's always calling me like this, like, and I have to go. That one you don't have to worry about. So I thought we could just talk a little bit about what the lights that come on your dashboard might mean and which ones are kind of like you better pull over immediately and which are kind of more like you're probably fine. But before I begin, I am not a mechanic, an engineer, a car expert of any sort or kind. This is an ASMR style video, which means it's kind of slow and quiet and just meant to distract your mind from things and maybe for some people create a tingly experience or relaxing. So if you really want to know how to fix a car, there are a lot of guys on YouTube who will tell you. But I own a lot of old cars. I have a car that is so close to 300,000 miles, and I will try to get a video the minute it flips. My other car is at just under 200,000, and I've, in my days, dealt with a lot of cars that have lights come on and fixed them myself. So, I have here, this is my car that's almost at 200,000 right now. It's a Toyota 2005 Highlander. And I just thought we could kind of start just looking at some of the lights. One thing I would recommend, one other caveat is this is more for older cars. The newer cars, I don't know that much about. They have different electronics. And so I don't know if everything I'm saying here would translate to the newer cars, but older cars. But if you have a newer car, hopefully it's under warranty. Just take it into the shop. Don't mess around with it. Because sometimes if you do your own fixes, then they disqualify the warranty. So be aware of that. But anyway, here's kind of what the front of your car. So this is your speedometer. I was going to say, this is your odometer and tachometer. Oh, okay. And then this, what are we looking at here? Trip me, odometer, tachometer, speedometer. I have a picture of mine. I'll show it to you. And then here are some of the lights. But you should really take out your owner's manual for your car and just take 10 minutes to kind of browse through it while you eat your dinner or something and kind of familiarize yourself with the warning lights, because I'll show you the ones that I think are probably the most like you better pull over right away lights. But every car has different versions, even within, like I have two Toyotas right now and they have different, some of them are different, they look different. So you really need to know what it is. Like look, even within a Highlander, they say, some of them say ABS and some of them say ABS in a circle. So ABS is anti-lock brake system. And that's a light that if it comes on, you could, and sometimes, you know what, sometimes it has ABS, but sometimes it looks like this. So this is your anti-lock brake system. If that comes on, don't feel like you have to pull over right away. What the anti-lock brakes do is, like in snow or on wet leaves, which, by the way, be careful with wet leaves. They are very slick for a car to drive on and dangerous in the fall. But it is what makes your car kind of have that feeling where it goes, and that is your anti-lock brakes grabbing and letting go to keep your tire from slipping. It'll like make your tire go like that. And it used to be, before they had these, that you'd take your foot on the brake pedal and pump it, and you go, and that would keep it from just sliding. And I have a video about driving on ice and snow that kind of explains all that a little bit. But if this light goes on, it's probably a sensor or something on one of your tires. But even if they went out completely, as long as you test and you still have your brakes, you're fine. You can drive without anti-lock brake system. In fact, some cars have a button. I think you can turn it on and off, so you have control over your brakes. Just so you know, that's not like one of the emergency ones. I'll put the emergency ones on. Do we have more orange? Hold on, let me see. I have one orange. Let's go over those real quick in case you fall asleep. I want you to see it before we do. Stay awake for a minute more. Hold on. This is important. All right. So it's kind of a tricky one, but let me see if I can. Oh boy. Okay. I think this is kind of the block. Yeah, it's not too bad. All right, it's not perfect. Let's see. Do they have a picture here? Oh yeah, here we go. See that? That is your check engine light. Now, if your check engine light comes on and just stays on solid, like it's just a red light with this check engine, it might say check, it might say engine, like that. It might just have the image. That is not a panic. If it just comes on and it's red, it's like, that could be a few different things. But if it's just on, you can go ahead and keep driving, and then when you stop, you could take a minute to try to figure it out, and I'll give you some ideas that you could try. But if it comes on and it's flashing at you and it's going check engine, check engine, check engine, that's a red flag. If it's doing that, then it might be above my pay grade. And you'll have to take it somewhere. You might pull over right away and Google it or call somebody if you don't know anything, because that's a warning. If it's blinking and saying check engine, that's giving you a warning. The other one that I'd say is a pretty big warning. It's this. Let's see. Anybody figure out what's coming here? You're probably pretty good if you do. Let's see. Okay, this is your oil pressure light. I'll show you the picture right there. That is low engine oil pressure warning light. That's a red flag. If this comes up, you probably want to go to the very next exit or stop. Like if you could pull over at a gas station or like even a Dollar General, a CVS, they would have oil, because most likely your oil's low. And we'll talk about that in 1 second. So that is a red flag. trying to think what else is like a red flag. I mean, obviously, if you have no gas, but that's not, we're not doing that. That we know. Oh, probably. Okay. There is. Oh gosh, I think it's like that. It looks like a musical note. Okay, this would be under the gauge. I'll show it to you in a minute, but there's a gauge that is cool to hot. I think it says cool to hot, but that's not quite right. Something I'm saying is not right. We'll look at it in a minute. That is your coolant. If this comes on and you look at your gauge and it's running hot, that's a red flag. And you need to like deal with that. It's your temperature. Sometimes you can overheat a car if you're sitting in like stop and go traffic, especially in hot weather. Your engine just can't get enough air flowing over it and it'll start to overheat. And if you're kind of stuck and you can't get out of that traffic, a little trick you could try, and I assume this works still, it used to work with old cars, and it stinks because it's hot outside. But you open all your windows, turn your heat on full blast, and that will blow air over so that it helps to cool it down. But this is something you gotta check. All right, so let's talk about some of these. This book is kind of too small to look at. I don't know. Maybe we'll go back to it. But with coolant, I mean, it could mean that your antifreeze is low. Your coolant and antifreeze are the same thing. And that could mean that you have a low level. And there is, with some cars, older cars, you can check that. Some of the newer ones, I think they have it kind of buried, so you can't really get to it. A mechanic has to. But you don't ever want to check this when your engine is hot, because, and it says right on the cap. I have a picture. Hold on, I will show you. Okay, hold on. Oh, go here. Okay, first of all, this is what I'm talking about right here. This is the coolant level, and it starts off cold. When you're driving, it usually runs right in here somewhere. But if you get up here into this area, and this like turns red, it'll get a red circle around it. That's a problem. And like I started my car, when you first start your car, all your lights come on, so you can make sure they're all working. And so that's what that light looks like. But oh, I know, I was going to show you the cap. Okay, hold on. Oh, here it is. Nope, here it is. Nope. Okay. So the cap has all these cautions, and this is a safety cap. So if you did make a mistake and open it while it was hot, it should click up and let out some pressure and not fly open. But what happens is inside of here is your antifreeze, and that is mixed with water. And okay, I could be wrong about some of this, but this is what I think. And while you're driving, antifreeze keeps your liquid in your cooling liquid from freezing up, but it also heats, and it can raise the boiling point of water, which is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. It can raise it even higher than that. And then because it's under pressure, water can get even hotter when it's under pressure. So you're dealing with water that's well beyond boiling point, and you're dealing with extreme pressure. So if you were to crack this open, and you could keep going. My husband did it once, he told me. The pressure of this hot water would be like a volcanic explosion. So don't ever open this when it's hot. But when it isn't hot, you can open it and check it and see where you are on your antifreeze. And it could be you're just low on antifreeze, and that's why you're overheating. But anyway, so that's a little bit about that. Let's go back to this engine check. All right, if it's blinking, that's a sign of something's wrong, and you probably want to take it to a shop, to your local mechanic. If it is a solid light, it could be a host of things. You can just go ahead and keep driving it. You don't have to panic about that, but you can take it to like a local auto supply store or any mechanic, and they have a code checker that they can plug in under, it's usually like under your steering wheel somewhere. They have a thing they can plug it in, and it will bring up codes. Now the codes give you an idea of why your engine light's on. Like mine is currently on, and it's my, I forget what they call it, like evaporative, it's like the air conditioner system. And I actually know what's wrong with it. It's no big deal. I'm ignoring it. But it will give you an idea of what is wrong. If it's blinking, like I said, that's telling you there's a real problem going on. So, yeah, I'm trying to think if I have anything else to say about that. I don't think so. Okay, with oil though, now, if this light comes on, that means your oil levels are low. That's not good. That could be really bad for your engine. It's not like if it has just come on and you're driving down the highway, you don't need to pull over on the side of the road. But you should pull over at the next exit and go hit up a gas station or whatever. Stop in the parking lot. Let the car sit, because you don't want to, you're going to check your oil. That's what you're going to do. It's easy, don't worry. But you want to wait for the car to cool down for about 10 minutes. And the reason is the oil in your car, when it's cool, it's just sitting in the pan. But when the engine is hot, the oil splatters around the engine, and it, makes it so all the parts can move properly. And so if you check it while it's all up in the engine, then it's going to show low when it might not actually be low. So after about 10 minutes, it cools and all that oil starts to drip down into the pan. And once it's in the pan, then you can check your oil. So I actually have a picture here I want to show you. Hold on. I went out to my car and all right. So your oil dipstick, the top of it should look like this. And there are a few different dipsticks in old cars. You're looking for engine oil. Sometimes mine's yellow and it actually says engine oil. Sometimes they're black, but usually they will say oil somewhere on them. And then you pull it out and it'll probably be covered in oil like this. So that doesn't tell you anything. So you have to take a clean cloth, or I have been known to be in a situation where I had to use like a leaf, but best to use a clean cloth, and clean this off so it looks like metal, bare metal. And these are the markings for low and high. You don't want it to be low below this, and you do not want it to be high either. That can also be bad. You want it right in the middle. Now, I think the difference from here to here is 1 quart of oil. So just so you have an idea of gauging how much oil you want to put in, I think that's 1 quart. Now, I think some dipsticks, they're more like, I know this looks like a sword, but it's a dipstick. See, this one just says 2 dots. Some of them have like these hash marks like this. And so you want it within the hash marks. This is low, this is high. And you're trying to get it within those hash marks. So let me just, sorry, let me move it. So here you can see I took mine out and then put it back in, and my oil, I don't know if you can see it. See how it's yellow to right here? And then it's metal. So I can tell my oil is right there, right in the middle. Perfect. Because I check it I check it pretty regularly, only because my other car leaks oil and I have to actually add oil. Now, if you're getting oil changes on schedule, your oil should be pretty good. But sometimes why your oil light goes on is because you didn't do your oil change. You can look in your car's maintenance, what do you call it, owner's manual, and it will give you a schedule when you should do oil changes, what kind of oil you should use. I've been lately, well, on the car that leaks, I do regular, the cheapest oil change. On my Highlander, because I put a lot of miles on it, I've been using full synthetic oil. So, and then you don't, oh, I'm going to have to read this. I always wonder what that button does. Anyway, you don't have to do it as much. How am I going to say this? You don't have to do it on the 3,500 mile schedule, which honestly I think is a little short. But if you have an older car, I would do it on time because older cars are going to use more oil. What was I going to say? Oh, so because I do full synthetic and you can go longer in between changes, that means there's another light that comes on. I don't know what it looks like. I can't think of it. Let me look and see. And that is this one. A light that looks like this says maintenance required. That maintenance required light is always, you need an oil change, I'm sorry. And it is timed to come on every, I forget, it depends on your car, I guess, but I think it's every 3, is it, I can't remember. My brain's blanking whether it's 3, anyway, I'm not going to say, but whenever your car is supposed to have an oil change, that will come on. Then if you go take it to Jiffy Lube or whatever, they change it and then they click a button and it resets. So that is why that light is coming on. So if you get a maintenance required light, that is a informational light. It is not anything you need to panic about. If you go a little over on your oil change, it's not the end of the world. But don't go too far over or it is the end of the world. I ruined an engine once because I was really young and I didn't even know cars needed oil changes. And I took my car to college, which was 4 hours from my house. And I was driving back and forth from college and driving around at school, and nobody told me I was supposed to change the oil. And all of a sudden the engine locked up and they were like, my dad's like, why didn't you change the oil? And I said, no, but I had no idea. I did not know I had to do that. But anyway, you do have to change your oil. That is a maintenance that you must do. So that's what, engine oil replacement reminder light. So that's all that maintenance required is. And I'm not saying all, you should pay attention to it, but it's not a, emergency light. I'll show you another light that's not an emergency light, but that you'll see a lot. Were we done with that? I don't know. Maybe. All right, this light, it looks like, oh gosh, okay. Kind of like this. It looks like, this light everybody's seen, I think, even in new cars. And what this is your tire pressure. And the reason why everyone's pretty much seen it, I can't talk and write, I say it all the time. My spelling goes out the window. Is because when the air temperature changes, like this time of year, as the air gets cold, the pressure in your tires, what is it? It shrinks, right, with cold air. And so it will trigger your tire pressure lights to go on. And you should fill it with a little, you know, more air because it does actually shrink. You know, one other thing about that, but what I'm going to say, this is not emergency unless you have a flat tire, but you'll start to feel that. But if this just goes on, you should look at it, you should check it, but it's not, you know, a pullover on the side of the road situation unless you have a flat tire. But usually that just means there's a certain PSI, pounds per square inch, I think that stands for, that your tires are supposed to maintain in order to get better, you know, wear on the tires, better control of your car, better mileage. I didn't realize you guys were seeing down here. There we go. Anyway, so if it goes too far away from that, then this light will come on. And some cars even have a thing that shows like which wheel or which tire is actually the one that's low, which is kind of nice. But every once in a while, probably once a month or so, I go around all four of my tires and just test them. And if you look, you open your driver's side door on your car, on the side panel of that door, they will tell you what's the best pressure to have your tires at. And so that you can look at that and know, and then you can get some kind of tire gauge. This, you just unscrew the little cap and you put it on there and it'll go, and it'll come out. Yeah, probably about there. And then whatever number it is what your PSI is. And then this one, it goes around here, but this seems like it would be better. But it's not as accurate with this. And I almost think this one's better. But anyway, so it's good to check your tire pressure fairly regularly because, here, hold on, let me do a visual. Hopefully I can draw this and not have it look stupid. Let me grab my whiteboard pen. Okay, so here's the road. If you have a tire that has like the perfect amount of pressure in it, it will, this pen, hold on. Maybe it's my board still a little wet. Wait, don't fall asleep. This is gonna be exciting. You're gonna like this, I think. Hold on. Oh no, somebody's knocking at my door. Who can it be knocking at my door? Hopefully they don't ring the doorbell. Please don't ring the doorbell. Okay, so the tire would go up, up, and then you have this nice even pressure. That's what you're aiming for. That's proper. This is proper. And then if your tire doesn't have quite enough pressure, it will, and this is while driving on the roadway, it will kind of go like this. And this is under pressure, not enough. And what happens then, and you can see it if you have tires that are like this, they will start to wear right here and here. And you can actually look at a tire and see where it's worn on the sides. Now, if you've over pressurized your tire, it'll kind of bubble up like that, right? And then you get a lot of wear right in the center. And that's if you go over with your pressure. So this is why you want to have it at the proper pressure, because you'll get proper wear. And like here, you know, you're not as getting as good a traction. So, yeah. Like if you've ever, when you were a kid, do you remember like riding your bike and you didn't have enough air in your tire and it was like a slog? You're like trying to pedal the wheels. That's kind of what this under pressurized tire is doing. It's just making it harder for your car to roll, and can slow it down and make you pay more for gas because it's harder to run and it wears your tires. So, yeah, see, that was fun, right? Okay, enough of that. All right, what am I showing you here? Oh, I was showing you the, and then here is where you put your oil and see where it says engine oil. So if you do pull over and you check it and you're like, oh yeah, I'm low on oil, you can look it up. Well, this one actually says 5W30. You have to make sure you get the oil that goes with your car. So you could look in your owner's manual. This one says it here. I don't know if it says it on the side door. It might say it on the side door, or you could Google it. You could Google your car. But so then you can go in the store and buy a quart of oil, and depending on where that dipstick was, remember how I told you it is about a quart from the one spot to the other, you can kind of gauge. But you can always pour some in, give it a couple minutes to settle, and then check it, pour some more. But if you're like out of oil, you'll need a full quart of oil. So yeah, that'll fix that. What else? The other thing, I guess, if you are checking your oil and it isn't nice, and see how clear this is? It's brown, but it's clear. That's like good clean oil. If your oil looks gunky or anything, you gotta get an oil change. That's, you've let it get too dirty. That's why you get your oil changed. What other things? Tire pressure. Well, that is a battery light. If this comes on and your car is going tick, 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 when you try to start it, that means your battery died. You maybe left a light on in the car, your headlights on. You might have to get somebody to jump your car for you to get it going again. I have a video on how to jump a car, so you can watch that. But if you're driving and this light comes on, that's a little different story. That would probably be, well, I'm trying to think that would probably mean like maybe there's a connection that's loose, or maybe your battery's just actually dying. At some point you do have to change your battery, and sometimes batteries, because of cold weather, can have trouble. So I would drive to like an AutoZone or one of those types of stores, and they can do a check on your battery and tell you if it's got enough charge, or if you need to replace it. And if you bought it at that store, sometimes it's under some kind of warranty. They'll give you like a rebate to buy it, a new one. What other reason would a battery light come on? I don't know. I can't really think of anything else. Oh, the engine. Let's go back to this one for a second. This engine check light, this could, if it's not blinking, if it's just on, it could be so many different things. So like using a code checker would help with that. But sometimes you'll get a light like this. Or I'm trying to think, there's one that's like your evaporative, that's not the right word. It's not evaporative cooling. but it's another light. But let me just tell you this. If you have a light come on that's like a non-emergency situation, some of the things I would do to just see if it might be. Okay, I know it. I remember. If you have this light come on and you go to AutoZone and the code they bring up is your, I can't think of the word for it right now, but it's basically like the system. I don't forget that. Just do this. Try this. Go to your gas cap and undo it, and then every time you fill your gas, you know how it goes click. You have to get it all the way to that click. And I go click, 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 click. And that like seals the vacuum of that system. And that, if you don't do that, that is often what triggers an engine check light. And then sometimes, if you have an old car, the gas cap will actually fail and you can buy a new gas cap for a few bucks. I don't know. Probably not that much. And you can replace it and that will fix some of these lights that get triggered. So yeah, sometimes it's just like what do they call that? The vapor system? Something. I don't know. I don't remember. But I tell you what, so many times when I'm with people in their engine light, I'm like, let's check your gas cap and that'll fix it. So make sure when you fill your tank, click, 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 click. And then you may have to have somebody there is like oftentimes a button up underneath your steering column. You can go to YouTube and look up your car and you can clear the lights that are on, or you could, if you knew how and don't mind doing it, unhook your battery and it'll clear off those lights. And then if it doesn't come back on within 50 miles, you've probably corrected the situation. So sometimes you want to check your gas cap. What else would it be? Let me think. With the battery, you can go in and just make sure these are tight and clean. Sometimes, and I talk about this in the video I do on jump starting your car, but you can get like a metal brush. What do you call it? I can't think of the word. And just kind of brush it off. Make sure there's no corrosion. And rehook those if your battery's fine. Try that. You know, they're just little fixes you can do. The other thing with oil change, if you go in to get your oil change, this is a dipstick, by the way. Every time you go in to get an oil change, because I don't change my own oil, it's just too messy. Who wants to deal with that? I don't think it's hard. It's just a pain. They will take out your not cabin filter, your air filter, and tell you need a new one. And you might need a new one. But if you look through it and you can like kind of still see through it and it looks okay, just go, nah, it's okay. Unless you want to pay for it. I'm just saying, if you're frugal, if you don't have a lot of money. Because sometimes I think they just try to make that like a little add-on to, sell you something. But if it looks dirty, then yeah, it probably does actually need changing. Although we've thought about doing a little test and putting a new one in just to see what they say. Because I tell you every time they say it to us. And I'm always like, I don't think so. Maybe that's just to women. Maybe they don't do that to men. I don't know. Your wiper blades. Yeah. Oh, well, there are two things. One is this is a light that'll sometimes come on. It's kind of like that. That's your washer fluid. Your what is it? Windshield washer fluid. This is a non-emergency. If you get a light that looks like that, that means the fluid that you use when you go squirt and clean your windshield is low. You can buy it. It's a big blue jug at any, gas station, CVS, whatever. Probably has it. and fill it yourself. It's easy. Or when you go to get your oil change, you can ask them to fill it. So this is a non-emergency light unless you live in an area with a whole lot of dirt and dust where you need it, then, but you can do that. But also your windshield wipers, if you're getting it where every time you use them, it's just like a smear or you get a line like that messes with your vision, you can go buy new blades, windshield wiper blades. They're sold by length, but you can look on, the website for your car, or even the windshield wipers blades themselves. They say what makes and models usually right on them. And you can go look up a YouTube video and learn how to change those out. When you pull that bar up to change it, put a little something underneath there in case you accidentally let go and it snaps back. You don't want it to hit the glass, but sometimes them are kind of tricky. I have to admit, the one on my Highlander is pretty hard to get it out. It's like a trick, but you can change those out. And I tell you what, it makes all the difference. It makes a big difference for your life to have nice, good windshield wipers, especially in bad weather. And when you have ice on your car, I think I talk about this in the ice and snow driving video, but be a little careful when you clean those blades, because if you just start going with it, it'll screw up the blade. But you got to get that ice off of there, or it drags and it messes up the wiper blade. Oh, I know what else I wanted to show you. Hold on. Okay, let's see. Oh, here. So where I live, it's fall and there are lots of leaves. So I don't know, right now, pretty much every time before I drive my car, I open it up and clear these leaves. See how there's this intake here? I think it's an air intake. I could be wrong about this, but this is my feeling, is that this needs to be cleaned off. And I say this because one time I had a car where somehow a leaf got into my air conditioning system or fan, and it would go tick, 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 tick. It was the most annoying thing. So I always make sure I clean that off. I don't know if that's important, but I do it. And under the windshield wiper blades, clean those off too, because if it starts to rain and you have leaves there, that's not good. That's dangerous. So the other ones you might get are low fuel. I won't try to draw that. You guys know what that looks like. What else? So we did the anti-lock brakes. Oh, well, there is just a brake light. It's a little different than this, but I can't think of. Let's see if it's in here. Now, if that were to come on, obviously test your brakes. If they're working. Oh, here. Wait, we did do that. Oh, I see. So these are probably separate, I guess. There's anti-lock brake, and then this is brake. If this comes on, that's a warning for your brake system. You want to take that seriously, but you can check your brakes. And they're working. You got to get it to a mechanic and find out why that light's coming on. But hopefully it's just like a sensor or your brake pad. I don't know. I don't know what it would be. I don't want to tell you not to panic, because obviously brakes are very important. But you can check your brakes and make sure they're still working. And as long as they're working, you can keep, driving. One of the things that could go out is your power steering. And I actually had this happen before where there was some kind of system, I forget now, it was a long time ago, that went out, so the power steering quit working. And that makes you feel panicked because you're so used to power steering. But the truth is, as long as your brakes and steering still work, you can do it. You just have to do it back before there was power steering. turning a car was hard work. You had to like, and that's what you have to do. So you can still drive it to get it to your shop, but just know what it's going to feel like. That's too far gone. We're not getting into it. That's too deep. I don't know what else. Well, this is SRS. I thought that was the airbag. Maybe that is. I don't know what that means, SRS. Oil temp, open door warning. Yeah, we all know that one. Slip indicator. Yeah, so like some cars will have this come on when your tires start to slip a little bit in snow or ice. It'll come on and go off. It just is showing you that, hey, you're slipping. Now is the time to panic. Well, this one, that's kind of, this is for your high beams. So if you turn on your high beams or brights, headlights, you should have a kind of blue looking light come on like that. So if you're driving and notice that on, you probably just knocked your high beams somehow. That's what that is. You know, I was thinking of another. I thought of something and then I forgot. Oh, the brake. The other thing that could cause your brake light to go on that's a non-emergency is you set your emergency brake, or also known as parking brake, and you forgot. And you started driving with it on. This light will come on. And then you go, oh, shoot. And you unset it. Like my car, one of my cars, the emergency, I call it emergency brake, I think, but I think I also call it parking brake. They're the same thing. They're that brake that, you know, either you pull up or you step on a pedal. That holds it if you're on a hill. Some people use them every time they park. It just is like an extra brake to really hold your car. But in one of my cars, it sticks. And because it's sort of like, I don't know, grandfathered in or something, I don't have to fix it. But if somebody sets it, then it sticks again. And this light will come on. I just remembered that. So check your emergency brake first. You know, the other thing I've had happen lately, and I don't think this has anything to do with this really, but is, have you guys ever had it where you go in your car, I'm trying to remember how it works, and you try to start it and it just won't start, but it's not like the battery's dead. And you realize whoever drove it last turned the wheel or something, so it's like on an angle and it won't start. And you have to like manually just put your key in so you can turn the wheel and then turn off and then it'll start. I don't know what causes that, but I've had it happen in 2 different cars. So just know that, try that if your car ever, or try putting it like into neutral and back. I don't know, sometimes cars are funny. All right, well, if anybody has any other thoughts, I'm sure I've left stuff out. I just can't think of anything else. I talked about coolant. Did I talk about coolant? I can't remember. I think I did. Yeah. So, let me know if you have any other car questions. I'll try to think if I know an answer to them. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. So we have coolant, oil, engine check, washer fluid, tire pressure, battery, ABS, and brakes, side beams, dipstick. Oh, one thing, if you get in your car or you're driving down the road and you get what's called a Christmas tree light, I think it's called, where all these lights go blah, blah, and start blinking at you, that's telling you you have a real problem. Yeah, it's a bummer. And that happened to my son in his Subaru just recently, and it was his transmission, and he had to have the whole transmission rebuilt. So